Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back or welcome for the first time to the Electric Vibe podcast. Thanks for plugging in with us. I am one of your three co-hosts. My name is J. David Silva, and just to let you know, our newest and third co-host, Hucky Austin, was not able to make it today, but he does send his regards. He'll be joining us for our next episode. But the gentleman to my left is none other than
Kurt Hoffman.
Kurt. Good to see you.
Likewise,
And
Jay.
thank you, as always. And Kurt, would you do the honors of explaining to our audience today who our very special guest is?
And this is a great way to start your Monday, folks. Let me just tell you that we're taping this. So,
Okay.
yes, Jay, I would love to. So today we have a very special guest who has been carrying the funk flag for decades. He was born in New Jersey, lived in the projects of Detroit to Hilton Head, South Carolina, eventually relocating and settling to Atlanta, GA. Let's hear it for the ATL, folks.
Woot woot.
He's a classically trained singer, former Macy's catalog teen model, singer and actor in a variety of commercials for Coca-Cola and Nancy Reagan's Just Say No, Not Just Say No Thank You campaign. After singing in many local bands, he later became a promoter with his own site, Slab Music, Southern local area bands, and eventually hosted the Funkatopia website that led him to some amazing interviews and reviews with numerous legends of funk and R&B music, but not just funk and R&B. The website eventually caught the attention of Prince, who would share his reviews and posts with his own social media accounts. Recent guests on his show, going forward in time here, include recently Thomas Dolby, one of our submarines, and Jesse Johnson,
Yes.
which probably, out of all three of us, this man that's our guest today probably knows more than any human being should know about Jesse.
That's probably true. That's probably true.
Chris expanded his brand with the ASCAP licensed radio station Funked Up Radio that has several stations highlighting Prince's better-known songs, deeper cuts, and other associated acts. Recently, original New Power Generation drummer Michael Bland, Michael B, let's all hear it from Michael Bland, joined forces with him as an official co-host of Funkatopia. He runs a digital marketing company called Rankwell Marketing based in the greater Atlanta metro area. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Electric Vibe podcast, Chris Horton, a.k.a. Mr. Christopher from Funkatopia. Chris, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Wow. That's like my biography and like a little short, succinct intro. Yeah. Kurt, you did your
I
homework.
try to cram it all in there, but of course there's so many subdivisions of that. But like
Yeah.
anybody over 50, as all three of us are, like we'll just say, let's hear it for over 50. That we've lived a life. We've lived an interesting life.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Definitely for sure. Yeah.
So, Chris, again, it's great to have you here. Kurt and I really appreciate it. And because of what you've done and are doing in the content creation sphere, we're very, very excited to have you here and just for giving us some of your time. We're looking forward to having a lively and engaging conversation. Tell us how you've been doing lately.
It's been great. I mean, those that have followed the journey of Funkatopia that has, started back in 2005. This is the 20th year in its existence right now, which is a lot. But, you spend the first decade of it, I kind of feel like really spinning your wheels, and then you get these weird anomalies that just kind of happen as a result of grinding. And then you just, finally, I think that 2025 is going to be a really big year for Funkatopia. I think it's been pretty phenomenal with the addition of Michael Bland in 2025, and there's some crazy things coming down the pike that I can't discuss. But there's like a lot of things that are in the mix, and a lot of people that a lot of partnerships that are going on in the background. It's good. It's good.
Great. That's great. So, Chris, I want to start out, and before we're going to get into your bio and talk about your past and things, but can you just take us through the changes that you've seen in these past 20 years? Just one or two of the, we'll say, most significant changes in content creation since you started?
Well, the one consistent is I've never really been good at it. I feel like every time I turn it on, I like watch watch podcast or watch other podcasts. I'm just like, I don't understand how they do that, or how am I doing, why I can't accomplish that same thing. Like the whole 4K thing. Like I watch the podcasts and they look so crystal clear with these crisp edges and amazing lightings and shit. And I'm just like, I'm like, I've got a 4K camera here. I've got lights. I moved to the highest version of the streaming platform that we're on. I'm not going to say it because you guys are on a different one, but to the highest level, and I still don't get that crisp quality of, and I think it has to do with, again, more lighting or whatever, but I just feel like, it's the other thing too. It's that, I keep seeing different things going on out there and I'm like, God, man, I'm so behind the 8 ball, but that wasn't my focus. That's not what I do. I just kind of wanted to create like a really organic place to kind of sit and chill and talk about funk music and just relax and everybody have a good time and kind of absorb the vibes and kind of, move on. So I wasn't really trying to create the next Drink Champs. I don't, I just kind of feel like, I'm doing my own thing. And I think it kind of has, it was just, but I will tell you, when it first started, it was just a website that I was doing blog posts on, that I thoroughly enjoyed, would talk about music. I was like, all right, I'm just going to start doing this. Cause I had been doing websites since the mid 90s before anybody was doing it. I mean, I had stumbled into a job doing digital marketing, before it was called digital marketing. I mean, I literally was making optimizations for websites for Netscape. So it was like,
you go that far back to that kind of thing.
Oh yeah. I had the Mindspring email and the whole deal. So, I was doing it way back then, but then, so I said, I want to create one for myself. And, I look at the different iterations of what Funkatopia was and, starting in 2005, but, then people just started, I guess I was one of the only people that was really kind of had a site that was really focused on it podcast wise. I mean, there were other people that were out there doing it. Funkenberry was out there. He was kind of doing, but he was focusing like on Prince.
Yeah.
And it was just like, he was like laser focused. And, I just kind of felt like, well, that's not my thing. So I don't want to step on his toes. And then I just kept seeing a variety of different things. And every time I saw somebody, I just got a different idea about how I could approach the podcast, doing a podcast. And I did it starting with audio. And one of the first major interviews that I got, like 12 years ago was Thomas Dolby. And he came to me. He was promoting Map of the Floating City album, and he was really pushing it. And he said, "Can I come on the show to talk about the new album?" And I was like, "Is this She Blinded Me with Science? One of our submarines? Aliens Ate My Buick?" Tom, I mean, this. And we were just like, "Okay, that's fine." So then I did that, and I was like, "Okay, I'll try my hands at podcasts." And I started getting involved, not involved, but I guess the people at Bear Creek Music Festival connected with me, and because I was doing funk. And so they would invite me out to the shows, and I would see, the Roots and Bootsy Collins and Lettuce and all these, really cool acts like the Floozies and all these acts that I don't think that I would have known about, previously. And I started getting involved in that community. I guess the white funk jam band community or whatever they call themselves. I don't know. It's like they have their own little genre, their own little kind of little funk thing, Lettuce and New Master Sounds and all those guys. And it's fantastic. It's really funky and it's unbelievable. But there was a lot of people that they were, playing with that because they were honoring the greats. I'm getting so far off track with this question.
Oh, I love it.
But
good, man.
What is, like you would see New Master Sounds and they would bring out Zigaboo Modalistes, and he'd be playing drums, and it was like, wow, this is happening. And, Schofield and all these people were just like, kind of filtering in, and it was like, wow, this is really amazing stuff. And so I started being into that, but then that Thomas Dolby interview that I had done got some traction. And next thing I know, I was being contacted by Wang Chung, because Wang Chung was putting out a brand new album. I was like, I'm not an 80s, but I'm not saying no to Wang Chung. So I said, I'll do it. I mean, it's not funk, but it's okay. I'll do it, because funk kind of has a little bit of an association with the 70s and 80s more than anything. So,
Sure.
Okay, I'll make this work somehow. And it just kept on growing, and I kept on interviewing individual people, from different funk bands, Lettuce and Analog Sun and New Master Sounds, and was getting all these surprising responses that I wasn't expecting. Like I literally sent an email out to Jamiroquai's management and said, "Hey, I'd like to interview Jay or somebody," and he was like, "Well, I can't get Jay, but I can get the rest of the band." That was like all of Jamiroquai.
Right.
And they were like, yeah. So I was like, oh, sure. So yeah. And all these weird things started happening, where all these doors were opening up, where I interviewed, the entire, all of Jamiroquai with the exception of Jay, and, brand new heavies. And it was just so unusual, because it was so great, because I was just loving it, because all these bands that I loved for so many years are, now coming to me and wanting, asking me, will I consider, interviewing them for the podcast? I'm like, sure. And so just kept on going and kept on moving. And so now here we are in 2025, and I think it's been great. I wasn't focused on anything, as far as like the followers and stuff like that. I wasn't focused on that. I wasn't focused on growing it. I wasn't doing the right things to engage and grow the audience. Like, please click subscribe, please click. I wasn't doing any of that. And as a result, that, the numbers show. But I mean, we just crossed 70,000 followers on Facebook, so it's not for nothing.
I know.
Right.
But you have the other components, like YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and all these things that I just don't have the bandwidth to be able to create those tiny micro moments that those platforms require.
Sure.
I do 2 and 3 hour shows, and it's like, they were like, oh man, you should try Opus Clip, man. All you gotta do is just upload your video there, and it will separate it up. And it's just like, it's like, yeah, but I spent this money on programs to do it, and I see that a lot of people do it, and it's garbage what I see, and it's garbage what I'm getting too. It's like, stories cut in half, or or you get right to the punchline of the story and it cuts off, and it's just like, that's not how I would make a video. It's not. I don't. So. Yeah, so there's a lot of challenges with it. There's a lot of growth that I still want to be able to do. A lot of, staff that I would love to be able to bring on, but we're not at that point yet. So it's just going to be me and Michael, and that's where we are. So
that's
good.
But
But you know what though? I mean, you are a technological pioneer in many different facets based on what you just said, because when you were able to get groups like Jamiroquai, doing the internet interviews was kind of a novelty. Now it's just commonplace. So you've been through all these different iterations of how this is done now. Yeah. So you have a very dedicated and loyal fan base, myself included, and I am a Patreon subscriber. Let me let you know, this guy is no bullshit.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
His content is very meaningful. It makes my Tuesday nights. I say this without any, blowing smoke. But, you have done the work. You have, you're like the Cal Ripken of this Prince podcasting. Right. Well, not just Prince podcasting, but music podcasting universe. When you got guys like Thomas Dolby, it's because he was on the cutting edge of technology and recognized that you were on a platform of that said technology. Right. Yeah. And I'm very proud to say that I'm a proud alum of where he teaches at Peabody Conservatory in Baltimore, because I wish... Yes, sir. I wish he was there when I was there, because he took the job about 10, 12 years ago. Would love to have taken courses with him.
I mean, just the interview that I got an opportunity to do
Yes.
with him. And before I get too far away, thank you for being a Patreon supporter. You got 2 big hits today. If you've been inside the things, no, there's 2 more that just hit today. I went ahead and gave you the Mono Neon interview early. So Patreon supporters can watch the Mono Neon interview right now, before we
shamelessly plug that. Come on, man. You're on. You're giving us your time.
No, we got Mono Neon, and we did the interview, and he's going to be on. Well, the interview will be broadcast tomorrow night, Tuesday at 8 p.m. across all the platforms. But then on top of that, you guys also got that today. I'm sorry to put a date stamp on it. You can edit this out if you want. But today is April 14th, and it is the 9-year anniversary of Prince's final shows.
Which you were at.
Yeah, I was at both of them, yeah. And the Patreon supporters tonight on the Patreon-only radio station, there's 3 radio stations, one of which is password protected just for Patreon supporters.
Yeah.
But tonight, I'm playing the final 2 concerts tonight. So it's going to be on the radio show. So you guys got 2 things today.
Is that from your bootleg?
No, my bootleg has never seen the light of day. I do have one. I literally, that last concert, I had my recorder sitting on I'm not ashamed to say this, because anytime that I ever record anything, I never distribute it. I've never ever once put anything I've ever recorded out on the internet ever. And that, I'm not telling a lie.
You've always been on the up and up.
Struck down, because the main reason why I do it is to remember the set list and to remember what happened musically and everything, because it wasn't really, I'm not using top quality, microphones or whatever. I know that I have it sitting around here somewhere, but the recorder, here it is. The recorder that I use is just this Yamaha Pocket Track CX.
Oh my God.
And it records amazing. The best concert I ever recorded. Here we go down a rabbit hole again. The best concert I ever recorded was Kendrick Lamar's Kunta's Groove Tour. So I got to meet him, but I also got to sit front row on the balcony of the show at the Tabernacle, which was Kunta's Groove Tour, which was him playing To Pimp a Butterfly in its entirety with a full band. With a full band.
No way.
And I put this recorder right on the ledge.
Oh.
And there was a person to my left and a person to my left and a person to my right. Both of them were smoking hard. And I said, these people ain't going to turn me in.
Right.
They're not drawing attention to themselves. So I feel perfectly fine to put this recorder on the ledge. And it was one of the best recordings I had ever done. It was it was clean. I mean, it was a great recording. So I actually did like, because that one is out on SoundCloud, because I got permission from the guy that was out on Top Dog. He's not there anymore.
Yeah.
He said, I don't give a shit. So I put it out there, and it's just I'm not announcing. I didn't really point much to it, but you want to check it out. It's there on the SoundCloud account. But
okay.
Anyways, so what was the question?
Well, actually, Chris, I want to just piggyback onto something that you had said previously, because your show is a great blend of not only entertainment, but also information. So, the shows that I've watched, if you want to learn things, particularly, for instance, what you did with the celebration, the Prince celebration. So great episode, but it was a great balance of stories between you and Michael, and then information about what attendees can expect, or what people who aren't even going can expect. And I've noticed that in the majority of your interviews, it is a great blend of entertainment, what the people want to hear, and then also the information that you can provide. Is that something that you do deliberately, or is that just organically from your content?
Yes and yes. So so I can tell you what this is part of the ADHD and how I have treated my ADHD. part of what I do to treat my ADHD is stay busy all the time. Like literally, especially when it comes to online stuff, because I have
Mm-hmm.
Funkatopia, I have my business, Rankwell Marketing. I do digital marketing for like major companies um, across the United States. I also, one of those clients is actually a full-time type of hours thing. It's a lot of hours it's like 30, 40 hours that I do just with them. Then I have my family and my kids.
Yep.
Only one daughter of which still lives with me. She's 16, but which she occasionally comes on in the show. She'll like come in. That sometimes I have to lock the door because she'll come in. But so that's how yeah, it's just I'm always keeping busy. I'm always doing things, and I just kind of keep, you know, I, I just kind of keep moving, and part of that is preparing for each show. And
Mm-hmm.
when I prepare for each show, I want to say there's typically anywhere between 5 to 9 pages of information that I have that I prep.
Mm-hmm.
It takes me many hours to do a podcast. I mean, to
Okay.
prepare for a podcast,
Yep.
Sure.
because I don't know if a lot of people don't notice this. They think that, oh, they're used to seeing podcasts with graphics popping up and this, that, and the other, but they're used to watching that because that stuff is all pre-recorded and it's prepped. But if you notice, my Funkatopia Live is live. It's live, and there's graphics there, which means not only do I have to do all of my research and everything in advance, but I also have to create those graphics in advance. That slideshow that happens, it just randomly pops up a picture. I have to be ready for anything that might come up or may possibly come up with that artist. And be able to show it and share it and kind of expand it and kind of make it more visual for people. So I always go into every interview well informed. I've probably only done 2 interviews in the history of Funkatopia where I was not well prepared.
Yeah.
All the other shows I am crazily prepared, like unrealistically prepared. Like I wouldn't expect anybody else to pick up the baton if I drop it. It's just not that they couldn't. It's just that I just know how much work it is, and it takes a lot of time and dedication and just grind to make this work. And it's a lot of work. So, but the good thing about me being, having that short attention span is that when somebody mentions something that intrigues me, like you just did, JD, where somebody mentioned something and I'm like, oh, stop, go back to that. What did you mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to dig a little bit deeper, because there's nothing more frustrating for me than to listen to an interview when the guest says something that's really noteworthy.
Yep.
And the interviewer doesn't make any note of it at all, doesn't bring any attention to it at all. It's like, wait, did you hear what he just said? So you can tell when a person that's doing a podcast is not paying attention, is not listening, just wants to hear themselves ask questions and have the cachet of having the guest on the show. That is totally not at all what I want to do. I want to be able to dig up stories that have never been told before.
Yep.
And you have to be able to really do some digging. And
Yep, you do.
That piece I pulled from Howard Stern's work. I'm not a really big fan of Howard Stern, especially in his early days, but what he has become as this past decade, I would say, has been really cool. That he is just a really knowledgeable and good interviewer that really listens to what the person is saying and really kind of digs deep and is able to pull stories out of people. And I'm just like, I need to figure out how to do that. And it's like,
you do it.
Yeah,
Chris,
but I know
but
now.
But here's the thing, and I'm going to put this name out there, and I know Michael Bland's a little salty when I mention his name, just a little bit, and that's Questlove. You are doing the exact due diligence that he does when he has his guests on, and it does not go unrecognized. I mean, you have had a treasure trove. You, Scott Goldfine, Questlove, you do your homework, and it shows. I mean, you've got a treasure trove of interviews. I mean, anybody wants to listen to such and such interview with so and so in that universe. It's a and may I say, Prince came to your universe because you weren't just a Prince fan site.
Mhm.
You were funk, and that his influences, I'm sure he saw the people that he probably watched them all for all we know.
That'd
He
be awesome,
saw,
but I highly doubtful.
well, hold on, but that guy was a YouTube-aholic. I mean, we've talked to several associates. He watched a lot of YouTube. He watched a
Okay.
lot of people. So, just to be fair, we don't know that. Let's go with the narrative that he did watch your content.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That's
That'd
why
be
you
great.
were able to get your shit shared on his socials, because he's like, oh, this guy isn't just a kiss ass, I mean, not that the other sites weren't doing their due diligence and weren't valuable resources, but you weren't just a Prince site. You
No.
were encompassing a holistic version of R&B and funk and all the influences and the players that don't necessarily get the hits,
Right.
like
Right. Right.
like a Michael Bland would get. You
Yeah.
dug deep to the instrumental players for all these different, but I mean, you've done the job, man. You're doing the job.
It's a lot, and I think I really did want to dig deep. And before we started recording, we were talking about Bernard Purdy,
Sure. Oh, please.
um, and I reached out to Bernard through. I mean, finding out who the contact is for a lot of these guests is like really tricky. It's like it's
Yep.
just you never really kind of know. I mean, I've some people say, "Oh, you need to sign up with IMDb Pro." Because you go to IMDb and you sign up for their pro account, it will show you who their hiring man or their management is, and this, that, and the other, and it's never right. And I think I've probably sent about a couple hundred emails out to a variety of different people at via that method, and nothing. There's like nothing. And the only times I ever get replies are when I'm really kind of going down the going down the rabbit hole trying to find where this person's contact info is. But there are I mean, there's a lot. I think there's a lot of podcasters out there who are doing some really, really good work. It's just it's a little bit disheartening right now because I feel like I mean, I know you guys have your podcast, but it was definitely an honor for Prince to even connect with me at all, which was shocking right out of the gate because, and I can't remember what year it was, but when it happened, it was funny because
2011, wasn't it?
I think it was somewhere around there. It was the server guy came, called and was just like, "You've been hacked. You have a denial of service," which is basically a tech term where a bunch of people, flood a website in order to make it crash and burn because it can't handle all the traffic.
Right.
It's like, you've had a denial of service attack, and we got to figure out what it is. What files did you upload? He was asking me all these questions, and I was like, I don't know. I don't remember uploading anything. I mean, I just don't. And he called back like 10 minutes later, and he was like, "Never mind, we figured it out." I was like, "What happened?" He goes, "Prince tweeted about your site." I was like, "Okay." Because I guess he saw that all the traffic was coming from Twitter or wherever it was, and I went to the site, and there it was. He had tweeted about me, and I was like, "Wow, what the? How am I even?"
Yeah.
I've said this a million times. It's just like catchphrase. I should create a button so I could just hit the button so I can just say, "Why was I even on this man's radar?" It's just like I don't understand. And then all of a sudden, all these people that I was trying to interview started contacting me, Andy Allo, and Liv Warfield, and Shelby J, and Elisa Fiorillo, and all the girls that he had been working with, and all these acts started contacting me, and I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, this is Prince saying, hey, go here and promote your stuff. Go here and promote your stuff. That's what's happening." Because these are the same people that, wouldn't give me the time of day. Now, all of a sudden, within this, and it would always strategically fall before their releases or whatever. So it's like, all right, that's cool.
Yeah. Did you feel like you were being co-opted indirectly or directly?
I didn't really care.
I get it. That's a great answer.
I really didn't care. It was Prince. I was like, absolutely, just,
Hey,
use me up. You know what I'm saying? I was like, what do you need?
That's
You're muted, JD. Can't hear you.
You're right. I was. Thank you.
There
I
you are.
appreciate that.
There you go.
That type of organic growth, though, really says something about the longevity and the content of your podcast, the value, how valuable it is, because not only do you have someone like a Prince, okay, on
Mhm.
that radar, but then you have such a strong following of, we'll say, quote unquote, lay people that also come to your site, whether it's for the entertainment, the information,
Mhm.
just for a good time. So that really says a lot about what your show and what your legacy has become, so to speak.
Right. And I was just, while you guys were talking a few minutes ago, I was like pulling up the list uh, of some of the people that have been on the show and some of the crazy things that accidentally grabbed traffic. Like I'm just looking at this list and it's insane. The list of people that have been on the show. It's just like all legends. I
It's
mean,
a
like
who's
literally
who.
just
Yeah.
it's like a who's who. It's crazy. And then of course there's like always those controversial podcasts that you do that you don't even know that they're controversial until you did them and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
Right.
you guys really care about, like, Abigail Noel, who was she's a psychic who claimed that she knew who killed Prince.
Wow.
And so I was like, yeah, I don't care. I'm doing this shit. I'm just like, I got to see where this goes.
Right.
I was like, I have to see where this goes. So I got her
Follow
on
me now. I'll tell you your fortune.
But yeah, she wasn't doing any Cleo shit, but she was doing, she was going, she had some, she's like, I didn't know that. It was just some of the things she was saying. You have to go back and listen to the interview. But after the interview was over, it went viral because people were so upset with me that I had even given her a platform
Mhm.
to even be on the show. And who else?
They still
Mei Ling.
watched it.
Yeah, Mei Ling Stonepool. Some people
Yes.
know who Mei Ling is. She
Little
is
Red Corvette.
right. She is the I love Mei Ling. I think she's a wonderful person. She's the one who claims that she was the reason that
Right.
Prince wrote Little Red
Mhm.
Corvette. And there's a
Mhm.
lot of people that say otherwise. They're like, nope,
Mhm.
that's not true. It was about it was about vanity. It was about this, or it was about that. And you were talking, you told me story, blah, blah, blah. It's like, if you actually knew some of her story and some of her background and some of the symbiotic things that happened and why she feels that way, if you hear her story, which not all of her story has been told yet, it's pretty friggin' compelling. But a lot of people are going to claim bullshit because everybody wants that song to be written about them, or
Right.
or has their own vision about who that song is about. And it certainly isn't about Mei Ling Stonepool. It's
Or
about
may have been
it's about
told to, yeah.
it's about vanity, not Mei Ling Humph. It's like, why do you care so much? It's just like,
Hey.
it's just, well, but again, that goes to the whole controversy thing. And it's like, you just never know if it's going to be like, well, with the Abigail Noel, I knew that was going to be controversial. I knew that. But I didn't know the Mei Ling, because I want everybody that's connected and that I think may have some legitimacy to be able to speak their mind,
Absolutely.
and there's some shows you do, you don't know that they're going to be controversial, like that one. Mark Webster was another one that I didn't know was going to be controversial. That ended up being controversial.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't know who Mark Webster is, but he was the one that was behind getting that big symbol out in front of Paisley Park.
Mhm.
He was very, very integral in making that happen. He was also very integral in getting the highway renamed to Prince Rogers Nelson Memorial Highway.
Mhm.
And I didn't, and he had all the paperwork to prove it, and he had all the documentation showing that it was the case. But I caught a lot of, there was people that did not like the fact that I had him on the show because, I won't say who, but there's, again, you just never know what's going to grab and what's not. The shows that you think, that's not going to have any traction, get a lot of traction, and the shows that you think, oh, this is going to kill, and it doesn't, so.
Yeah.
That's just kind of the nature of the beast.
Nature of the beast, right?
But
Yeah,
again, you've been doing this for almost 20 years, Chris, and the law of averages. You've put out some tremendous content, even if people don't appreciate it until years later. Oh my God, he really did a great interview with such and such. That maybe it didn't gain traction at the time, but if you go back and look at it, they're like, wow, this actually. Hold on, looking at this years later, and that's the beauty. You have to swing for the fences, and swung for the fences you have. I mean, you've built a circle of trust. Nobody has gotten Jesse Johnson to come on a podcast, but you did, and it's not just because you know.
But you're in good company, right?
Right, yeah. So, and the thing with Jesse, this was really weird. I don't know that I've told this story or not. I've only done one other interview, believe it or not, from this side. And that was with Goldfine.
Scott.
Scott's one of those guys that has done like
He's
a wealth
amazing.
of podcasts. He's done like hundreds of podcasts
All
of legends.
to him. Yep.
And he's just, he was like, I want to talk to you. I'm like, that's weird. Okay, I'll do it. So, but with Jesse, it happened really organically because I guess I can tell the story. I don't think there's any problems with me telling the story. But I wanted to do the 40th anniversary show of the time, of the Times Ice Cream Castle.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to do it. So I said, I'm going to call up Jerome. I'll see if I can, I'll tell Gilbert and Rome to meet me at 10. That's an inside Prince joke. I did call Gilbert and I said, can we get Gilbert? Gilbert, can we get, maybe we get Morris on the show. Let's get, Jerome on the show. Let's get Jelly Bean. We'll call a variety of different people and see who we can get. And let's do this 40th anniversary right. And I don't know if it was a conflict or whatever, but he was just like, yeah, we can do the Jerome thing. But he said, you probably should save that ticket for when you can have Jerome on, just Jerome. Instead of having him with a bunch of other people. And I'm just like, all right, that's cool. Even though I have done that show, we did the Purple Rain Roundtable that had.
I was just going to mention that was amazing.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, that was crazy. I had no idea that it was gonna.
It's one of my favorite episodes you did.
Unravel like that, but your co-host Hucky was there. Craig Robinson was there.
Yep.
It's just. Who else? Gilbert was
Craig
also
Rice.
there. Craig Rice was there.
Yeah.
Jerome was there.
Yep.
And it was just like this. It was totally organic. Alan Leeds came in.
Yeah.
Oh,
so it was
unbelievable.
So it was just like this whole unraveling of. I was like, oh, this is a crazy show. But again, with the time scenario, so I was like, all right, well, gosh, what do I do? And I'm just kind of like sitting and I'm like trying to figure out ideas, and I'm thinking to myself, who can I get on the show then? Because I guess I'll just talk about Ice Cream Castle is what I'll do. And then I thought, wait a second, as I'm sitting there looking at the album cover that's signed by Jesse. And I said, there are some people on this album cover that I don't think I've seen many interviews with other than Paul Peterson, who I've had on the show a few times. And I said,
yes, you have.
I said, Paul Peterson's on the show. Mark Cardenas is.
Dude, that was a get.
Mark Cardenas, which that was a track down. And then, of course, Jerry. And
Jerry Hubbard, yeah.
Jerry Hubbard. And I said, those are three people that were part of Ice Cream Castle, the album cover or whatever, and also in Purple Rain and all this stuff. And I said, I'm going to get these three guys on, and I'm going to talk to them about Ice Cream Castle. I said, this would be really, really cool. And it was neat because what ended up happening was it became this show that was looking at Ice Cream Castle from a totally different angle. It was not, oh man, The Bird and Jungle Love are really friggin' awesome, dude. Let's talk about that show. Hey, let's talk about how do you guys do the chili sauce? How I'm like, I'm not I need to do something different because all this shit has been done before. I need it. And this angle was actually perfect. I was like, I'm glad it worked out this way because now I can focus on what was it like to be a part of a band that you weren't a part of?
Yes. Right.
What was the vibe between, the relationship between you and Morris and everything that was going on and who, practicing, it was just so weird to hear these different, different
gold,
angles.
Dude.
It was great.
Gold, absolute gold. Sorry to interrupt you there, but I just, we all of us, there are people who are, the subscribers like myself, we're just like, yes, you got this person. Because we never hear from these people. So, the fact that you were able to track down the unicorns, so to speak, you're like a unicorn hunter, man. And you have hunted a lot of unicorns and have gotten more unicorns than most people would ever get in a lifetime, man.
It's I mean, to get Miko Wave, a lot.
Remember
Miko Wave? I was like,
yes.
Yeah, it wasn't Miko from the Revolution. This was Miko. This was a totally different Miko, and he had an album called Miko Wave. Was the Cooking from the Inside Out was the name of the album. And everybody thought it was Miko from the Revolution, so everybody bought it, but it sounded so friggin' good that nobody cared. It was so princely. And but finding out those acts, finding the Rockwells and the Miko Waves and stuff, it's like, I'm getting all these people on the show. But anyways, to go back to the Purple Rain thing, Ice Cream Castle thing. After the show, it went great. It was so phenomenal because Paul had to go. Mark Cardenas was done the night before. So I couldn't get him on because he had a show because him and his daughter play in a band over in Seattle area. I want to say it is. I can't remember the name of the band.
Okay.
He actually has a band. I think I have it behind me here because he sent me the vinyl.
You exceed Eric. Eric Leeds. Whenever he interviews, has his album catalog behind him. And dude, that's an album setup right there. The CDs and the album. I love that. Dude, that is awesome that you got all that.
Yeah, it's not fake. It's obviously all.
I know it's
I can
not.
reach back and I can actually pull it but
pull an album out. We want you to pull an album out. Come on, pull an album out. Let's see what we get.
Now that we talked about Rainbow Children, but now that we've talked about Mark Cardenas, I'm sorry that I'm not in my mind.
Oh, the single?
He gave me
yes, he did.
Here's all the Jesse Johnson stuff. I have a huge stack of Jesse Johnson. Of course I have a huge stack of Jesse Johnson. I have to. It's imperative. And there's more. Remember these guys, the Daisies?
The Daisies.
Sure.
Daisies.
And excuse me, Ricky Freed Smith was an integral part of that.
Yeah. I had him on this. Here it is.
Yep.
So this is, and I don't have my camera on for you guys because I find myself constantly looking at you instead of looking at the camera. So I switched off of that.
Okay.
But this is Mark's band called 206 Rib Shack Orchestra.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, that's it. Wow.
Yeah.
So
and
he did send it to you. Cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it's actually it's very
cool.
It's got a lot of time influence. You can hear it, but it's
okay.
But anyways.
That's so
So
cool.
there, you just let me pull that out.
Dude, you're a completist.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you are manifesting the completist mentality with these interviews. For those of us who are really diehard fans, I mean, my knowledge of all this stuff pales in comparison to yours, but that's for a variety of reasons professionally. And the fact that you manifest this stuff and it's on record, I mean, it's a treasure trove. So you got authors like Dwayne Tudall.
I love
talked
Dwayne.
to Dwayne the other day. Jesus, come on.
Good friend.
He's one of the goats with the written word, Edgar Cruz and him,
Yeah.
So you're completing these with these interviews and you're getting information that nobody else gets. I mean, that's dedication, man.
Well,
I mean,
it's funny that you mentioned Dwayne. He is the only person, I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that has access. You could check, but I'm pretty confident that he is the only person that has access to my Funkatopia's Google Drive. And I gave him access to it because I was like, if I get hit by a truck tomorrow, I need to make sure that all of this shit that I have done for the past 20 years is in the right hands.
Yep.
Yes.
I said, here it is. You're more than welcome to go. And so far in both of his books, he has pulled stuff from my interviews in both of these books. He actually thanked me in the second book. I was in the, and I think I'm out on the book cover. I could just pull it.
Yeah, sure.
Pretty sure I am.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm on the cover of, I think I'm on the cover of the paperback. How sad.
Yes. What? The updated version.
Yeah, there's two of them. Yeah, I always get them. But anyways, so yeah, he thanked me in both of them. But he goes in and he has his person transcribe the interviews and he uses them in his books. So yeah, it's a little bit of everything. But the other thing too is that I'll finish this is our ADHD kicking in. I'll finish the ice cream castle story. So after the ice cream, remember that?
Yes.
So the ice cream castle, after we did that, Jerry called me on the phone. What was really cool, I'm gonna stop. God dang it, I'm doing it again. What was really cool about the early days of Funkatopia is that I did all of them via audio. So all of them, so I had this audio program online called, it still exists to this day, called callinstudio.com that allowed, so I could have people call in and I could have like multiple people on the thing. So when I had Jamiroquai, I had like all of them. And what was cool is that very few people would actually hide their phone numbers. So like when they called me, I would just save the phone number in my phone. So like literally if I ever lost this phone, it would be like really bad. It would be really bad. It would be really bad news for the funk music industry for sure.
That's your Black album.
Yeah. But anyway, so Jerry calls me and he's like, man, I had a really, really good time. I just want to tell you, that was really fun. I appreciate that. I don't do a lot of interviews, so I appreciate it. It was really, really cool. Thank you so much. I was like, man, it was great. You had some amazing stories I had never heard before. That was unreal. Thank you so much. And then the next day he calls back, or 1 or 2 days later, and he goes, hey, he says, I kind of want to, call, apologize a little bit. Not really apologize, but he was calling to say, I was talking with Jesse the other day, and I was like, Johnson? I was like, yeah. He's like, I was telling him how much of a because I didn't know this. I mean, Jerry played on Jesse Johnson's review. Well, he's on the album cover.
Yeah.
Kind of like the band is on Dirty Mind. He's on the album cover, but he also is working with Jesse on Jesse's brand new album.
Oh,
so, and I did not know that. I was not aware that he was still actively working with him because we're not privy to what's going on in their studio. So I was telling Jesse about the show. We had a really good time, and he wanted your contact information, wanted to know, if it'd be cool to come, to connect. And I gave him your phone number, and I hope that's okay. I was like, that is perfectly okay. I have no problem. I have no problem with that whatsoever. And 1 day passes, 2 day passes, 3 day passes, 4. I'm like, okay, I'm just never whatever. And then one morning I woke up and I don't even remember what the date was. Well, it was a while ago. And somebody had called me at 12:30 in the morning. And I looked down and it's a number I don't recognize, but they left a message. And so I pick up my phone and I'm just like, all right, let's see who's calling. I'm going to pull up the voicemail now. I saved it, of course.
Of course.
And so let me see if I can. Is this anyone on speaker? Oh, maybe it's not. Hold on a second. I'm trying to pull this up. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
I hate iPhone. I cannot wait till this phone is paid off so I can go back to Android. F iPhone. It has got the most, 23. It has the most glitches and weird things in the world. I go to put the phone in my pocket and it takes a picture as I'm putting the phone in my pocket. it's just unreal,
Yeah.
the amount of ridiculousness. But
I never left Android, just to qualify.
well,
I
and
get
at
it.
one point in time, I did have it. Oh, you know what? I could actually probably. Anyways, the whole point is that I connected with. I picked up the phone and it was Jesse, and he goes, "Hey, this is Jesse Johnson calling for Chris. Can you just wanted to, connect and touch base
Jesus.
and talk a little bit,
Sure,
and see about coming on the show." And I was just like,
man.
what's happening?
Right.
Dude.
And so I called him and it went to voicemail. And of course I did one of those processes where, you leave a voicemail and you go, erase do over. It was like, if you're satisfied with this message, it's like, no, I got to do that over.
Yeah, right.
Like, no, I got to do that over. And I don't know which one I settled on, but I settled on one that I thought didn't sound too like I was fangirling, like I wasn't pissing my pants. And
Right.
so then I finally leave a message. A day passes, nothing. 2 days passes, nothing. I call him again. I text him, nothing. And I'm just like, oh, man, I don't know. All right. And then one night it was like 11 o'clock at night. And I just said, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm driving myself crazy. I'm just going to call. I'm going to call right now. Leave one final message and go to bed and just wait until he calls me back. I'm going to stop being a bitch. I'm just going to just leave a message. We're going to be done with it. Let's be done with it. And so I call and I'm like, okay, what am I going to say? All right, well, it's cool because I can erase it and do it over. And that's it. Click. Hello. I'm like, fuck. I was like, hey, Jesse, what's up? And he was like, hey. I was like, this is Chris from Funkatopia. How are you? And he was like, hey, man, what's going on? And so we just started talking, and it just goes on for like an hour and a half.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like not recording any of it, but he's telling me all kinds of stories, and we're talking about Ice Cream Castle, and he's telling me stories that I can't repeat, and he's kind of going on and on and on and just talking, and I'm just absorbing it because it's Jesse Johnson, and he's one of the most talented brothers on the planet, and
Yes.
I can't
Yep.
reiterate enough how much that guy means. I mean, like, no joke, when I was going through, it's like that
I know.
massive section is all Jesse Johnson. It's
Yes.
just like,
And the
even though he
singles
only
in
had,
the album.
I mean, I've got freaking everything. And he's just one of the guys I've just looked up to forever. And, and then, so I had him on the show and everybody was like, oof, wow, how'd you get him? And, then we just started talking. After that interview, we just started talking sporadically on the phone. He would call me and, he would call me on the phone and he'd say, hey, you got a minute? And I'll pick up the phone. And next thing I know, 3.5 hours later, we're still talking. And it's cool because it's a no pressure thing. I'm not trying to sell him on anything, and he's not trying to sell me on anything.
Sure.
But
can I touch base on that, Chris, real quick? Because when you just made that comment, and there's something that I wanted to harken back to that you said earlier. You were talking about guests and controversial shows and things like that. One of the things that Kurt and I have both noticed is, and this is part of what we try to do in our novice, tenure at podcasting, is the integrity. It's the integrity of the guest. It's the integrity of the show. And sometimes it has to turn out to be, damn it all, if someone's going to find it controversial or not like what you're saying. Can you give us your thoughts on that when you're producing a show? Do you ever look at it like, hey, look, this is going to be what it's going to be? We always said everyone has a voice at the Electric Vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And we never wanted it to be where it was a sense of, obviously we're going to do our homework, we're going to do our due diligence, but we never wanted it to be where we were going to be, pigeonholed or forced not to say something. Can you talk about your experience?
More like, I'm not sure I fully grasped the question, but it's like calling a guest out on their bullshit, or making it so that it's more organic as opposed to something that's a cookie cutter type of press jaunt type of thing.
That's exactly it. Right.
The latter. Yeah.
Yeah, well, first off, for any podcaster that's out there, I'm going to give you a tip number one for getting guests. Okay, you ready? It's not friggin' rocket science. If you see somebody that you really wanted to interview appear on your local news broadcast, it means that they are on a press jaunt and that they are trying to publicize something. They're trying to promote an album. They're trying to promote a play. They're trying to promote whatever it is that they're trying to promote that's coming up. And that means this is a hot spot. That is a perfect moment to find out who their connections are. I'm not going to tell you how to do that.
Right.
To find out, but it's a lot simpler than you think it is. It's not always through their website. Most of the time it's not. I guess artists have let their websites just go to hell unless they've got somebody that's just kind of doing it. They don't seem to really care anymore. But yeah, finding that guest and saying, okay, they're on a press jaunt, so they're going to be receptive to coming in and doing a show now. But I don't want to just talk about that. I will talk about that because I know that's what your managers want you to do, but I need to make sure that people are going to be interested in you, because if you just kind of just pop up on the screen, pushing some kind, that's just spam. That's not, you're not going to sell anything if you just kind of just randomly come on. You've got to engage people and tell people, make them want whatever it is that you're selling. So this is like it is a sales pitch in a way, but on the same note, you're digging deeper and making it interesting, but not, I will say, 80% of the shows that I do are not tied to anything that they're promoting. They're just like the show. They want to come on the show. They just want to hang out. They just want to just do whatever. I mean, Jesse Johnson's been on the show twice and he's not selling anything. And he was just, and the last time I had him on was for the 40-year anniversary of Jesse Johnson's review.
Yep.
Which I told him I was doing. I said, I'm doing this, just letting you know I'm doing this. And he goes, oh, that sounds cool. Can I come on? I was like,
yeah.
No.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll think about it, right?
I'll have my people call your people.
Let me discuss with upper management.
But yeah, I can tell when they really don't want to do anything other than the press jaunt. And those are the types of guests that it's an honor to have them on. It's cool to have them on. Like I had Robert Cool Bell on the show.
Yes.
And I happened to see him. I was flipping through Cameo for whatever reason, because, Cameo, for those that don't know, is just a website where famous people go, and for a certain flat fee, they will say, happy birthday, Joe, and I hope you have a great day on your cruise, and your wife says hello, and they all love you. It's so-and-so, it's like, so it's like, oh, dude, I'm so sorry. Not that I haven't used them, I have, but it's just like, I don't know. Anyways, I don't know where I was going with that. Anyways,
I love it.
But the whole Cameo thing, they also just want to push stuff. Like with Robert Cool Bell, I saw, I know where I was going with that. Robert Cool Bell, I saw was on Cameo, and he would do a little thank you for whatever, or happy birthday or happy anniversary, whatever you wanted him to do, but it was like $500 just to have him do a little 30-second thing or 1 minute thing or whatever it was that he was going to do. And I was like, that's cool, but that's crazy that he's charging that, because I just had him on the show for, I don't remember how long the interview was, 45 minutes, and I didn't pay him anything. So again, you got to find them when they're in their press jaunts, because that's the sweet spot to getting some of these bigger artists, because that really help you grow. And but you have to be able to gauge, am I going to be able to get this person on the show and they're only going to be just selling their album or selling their wares or whatever it is, or am I, are they going to let me really interview them?
Right. And that's key, I think, because like one of the things that Kurt and I have always strove for is, we obviously have a lot of Prince related guests and content, but
Mhm.
what we try not to do deliberately is not just focus on that. When we had Ricky Freeze Smith on, of course, and
Mhm.
we've known Freeze for 20 something years, whatever.
Yep.
We wanted to talk about his time playing in church. We wanted to talk about Billy Preston. We talked about his mother. And he literally
Mhm.
said to us in our interview, Freeze was actually our first guest. He said,
Yep.
no one's ever asked me these questions before. He's like, this is so refreshing that we're not going, what is it like to play with Morris Day and the Time? What was Prince like? So it's the integrity of our show also, and the
Mhm.
integrity of shows like yours, where
Yeah.
it's such a well-rounded presentation
Yes.
of who the guest is.
That
Yeah.
part.
And that's and quite frankly, we modeled ourselves after what you're doing. So,
Well,
there's
and
a little bit
that's
of copycat there.
and that's good that you're doing that, because yeah, I did the same thing with Freeze. Not only did I ask him about his mom, and I think I had him on after you guys did.
Yes.
So, and I don't know why. I mean, I've seemed like I've had everybody and their mom on the show. I don't know why. I don't, anyways. So, but not only did I have that, but I went the extra step to actually find photos of,
You
Yes.
him sitting at the organ and stuff like that.
Right.
Yes, you did.
Right.
And again, you're doing it live. So
Mhm.
it's like all that stuff has got to be ready and has got to be, fused into the show. But yeah, it can be really, really difficult. It can be a fine balancing act. But I found that at least Funkatopians are a little bit more forgiving when they see that happen. And they
Mhm.
also know that I'm not the kind of person that will just let that happen. Like I really want to kind of dig deep. And if you're not gonna entertain me digging a little bit deeper to get beyond what your latest release is, because I want to learn more about you and kind of,
Yeah.
I'm trying to be respectful of you. I'm trying to, give you your flowers for everything that you've accomplished in the music industry before this new release. But if that's all that you really want to do, that's cool. I'll let you go, and then we'll just do a free for all.
Yeah, sure.
We'll just sit and just cut it up. And thanks for
Right.
coming.
Right. Right.
And I
Yeah.
think I won't name names, but I've had a couple of those shows where they kind of come in and they have their agenda and they just don't seem like they're in it. It was like, well, dude, man, it was really great having you on. It was so cool. I'm not a dentist, so I'm not going to be pulling teeth tonight. So
Right.
thank you for coming. And here we go.
Wham bam, thank you, man.
Yeah, it's just
Right, right.
I've learned to kind of accept what it is. And speaking, I mean, I appreciate you saying that you're kind of copying what I do, but I've copied what other people have done too. I might look across, what Prince's friend was doing
Yes.
Yes.
when he
Eloy.
had his news, when Eloy had the way that he had it set up like a news thing, and I was like, holy, it was like I'm sitting there with shitty lighting, and he's got this whole friggin'
Yeah.
newscast thing going on. But like, what the heck? It was like, how are
Well,
you?
he does video game programming, so for him, this was just like a cakewalk, I guess. I know.
Yeah, I mean,
He's-
and it was just really, really cool to
Yeah.
have, I mean, I just kind of watch, and so I like watch certain things, and Funkenberry, I don't know. I never really copied him. He wasn't necessarily, he was just doing something, because first off, he had an inside track
Right.
Hmm.
Right.
that nobody was going to have. He
He's
had his
employed.
inside, he had an inside track with Prince, and I was essentially just watching those sites like a hawk to make sure that, dude, as soon as I saw something pop up, I'm going to take, I'm going to rehash it and put it out on Funkatopia.com. And he was part of that news cycle,
Yeah.
because he was being given things exclusively. So that was, that was part of that exclusivity, was what I kind of took from him. Is like, how can I get myself in with artists where if they release something or they want to do something, I'm one of the first people that they come to. I want to be that,
Sure.
because, and I want people, the artists that are doing it, to want to do it because I'm respectful of them as an artist, and I appreciate what they're doing, and they know that I'm going to appreciate it, not just for not just for the glory of having, oh, look, I got it first, blah, 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 blah. Right. I could really care less about that. It's just, I'm excited that you're releasing this, and I want to share my excitement by giving you I told Jesse this. I said, all of my resources are your resources. So when you are ready to go, let's go. When this new album is ready to drop, let's drop. It's just, and there's a few artists that are like that are just like, they know that I'm going to take care of them. They knew that I'm going to do everything I possibly can to make that happen. And I will say, out of all the podcasts that were out there, probably the one that I copycatted the most would be Michael Dean's.
Yes.
And again, I wasn't trying to be, I was not trying to be a Prince podcast, but Prince made me a Prince podcast by continually filtering content to me and filtering stuff to me that was all Prince related.
Sure.
And just to kind of go and get this out of the way, because I've said it a million times, Funkatopia was one of the last tweets that he did before he died.
Yep.
I mean, he did that post linking to the review that I did of his final 2 concerts, and it just exploded. And then 12, however many days later, 8 days later, however many it was, he was gone.
Yeah.
And then USA Today and the USA Today covered it and said Prince's final days, and they had a whole thing on it, and it was right there. Funkatopia. It was just like, wow, from an SEO perspective, that's hot.
That's hot, right?
Get a link from USA Today. Hello, thank you.
But today's the anniversary of that, Chris. Today's the 14th.
Today is the 14th of the anniversary. I just posted that on Facebook along with the Patreon supporters, letting them take a little lesson to the last 2 shows in Atlanta. But behind closed doors, it's just Prince fans just kind of converging. If you're a Patreon supporter, you can listen along. Actually just started 17 minutes ago.
Support the link, support Patreon account.
Patreon.com/Funkatopia. But going back to Michael Dean, I can probably say that I don't know that Funkatopia would still be here today if it wasn't for Michael Dean, because of the advice that he gave me with Patreon, that we just mentioned it. Because for the better part of 12 years of the 20 years, it was all just, hey man, donate if you can, please donate, please donate, please donate. And you do you do hours, dozens of hours of work a month doing shows and doing show prep and doing interviews and taking time away from your family and doing all this stuff. Yeah. And, at the end of the month, you may have, $25 in donations to show for it, if that. It's just like, so Michael really kind of is like, you need to set up Patreon, to let people become members, because then you can kind of give them exclusive content, which, by the way, I'm going to be doing more of. I'm going to be doing more shows with just me. Michael may join in. I mean, but we may do shows specifically for supporters. So they're like little, just beyond the Tuesday stuff that we're doing. But I don't think that without that support, I would have been able to grow with the radio station and grow with the way that, we're kind of doing things now. And, still, I can't quit my job by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm still doing it for the passion of it, but at least it's, it's not all being debited from my checking account every single month for all these things. It's not, it's been a savior.
Let me take a moment to plug that for you. So the Funked Up Radio app, if you're a Patreon subscriber, you get channels that give you, Prince, more mainstream songs that people know, deep cuts, associated acts is where I live.
Super deep cuts, by the way.
Yeah. You're not going to hear these cuts on the radio.
No.
Radio
or Spotify.
Or
Tidal. I'll just leave it at that.
Right. Let's not get too
No, it's all right.
But
It's
but
okay because Prince told me on via Twitter. Matter of fact, he says, I said, "What do you think about unreleased material?" This was a dialogue that Prince and I were having via Twitter, and I said, if I'm inviting friends over and we're listening to stuff or we're listening, I want to, share stuff. And he replied in all caps, fans share, I can't remember what the exact verbiage was, but he's basically replying to me, and he was just like essentially saying it's the bootleggers we have problems with. It's the people that bootleg shows and then turn around and, the iRecords people and all the different people that are out there that are taking his music, packaging it, and then putting it out there for sale and
profit, right?
For profit. And Prince is not. I was like, I don't sell anything. I don't even distribute. I don't share. I'm not a good sharer just because I understand that the agreement that we had. I can let people listen to stuff, but I can't share it. I can't let people download it because they may turn around and do something nefarious with it. And I certainly can't sell it. So doing all those things is not respectful of, and of course, if I get sent music files that I'm specifically told by the artist, take a listen, tell me what you think. Do not share this with anybody. Well, then nobody's going to hear it. You're not going to hear it anyway.
Right.
So I have.
There's your integrity again.
Right. I mean,
Jesse, you have Jesse Johnson singles that you
yes,
or whatever that he sent.
Yeah, it's got brand new. Yeah, it's got a brand new a brand new song that he sent me called Promised Land, and it's off his new album, and it's friggin' unreal. And he told, matter of fact, the last time that we spoke, he said, he goes, you need to delete it. And I said, well, I don't want to delete it. he says, you need to delete it because the way that song is structured is going to be in your head, and it's going to cause problems when the actual version comes out, because I've changed it quite a bit.
Demo-itis.
And I was just like, okay, I get that. I understand that, but I still have to delete it. I'm like, no way. Dude. It's like, it's not, it has nothing to do with not granting his wishes. I mean, that is also on that Funkatopia drive, but they don't have access to that either. Nobody has access to that. It's like when I die, that's gone. It's going with me.
It's going with
everything. It's like, because I'm disrespectful of, he asked me not to share it. He asked me not to, he said that I could let, he said that I could you could let your wife hear it or whatever. He says, but I just don't want it out there. I was like, okay, all right. But I just can't, I don't know where it will go if I put it out there. So if I put it on the radio station, somebody would figure out some way to rip it. And I just can't risk it. I can't risk my relationship with Jesse. So not happening.
Well, your integrity is an integral part of why you're able to get a guest. Again, this is just reiterating a point that we made earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You got Jesse Johnson because of the trust that you've built, not just with guys like Jesse, but he's probably seen the episodes that you've done, or at least got the reputation from others. Hey, what's this guy, Chris Horton guy like? Is he,
Yeah.
You've built trust, to put it succinctly. You've built trust.
Right. I've had a pretty amazing list of guests on the show. I mean, it's been pretty ridiculous.
You know what, Chris? For me, last question, and we're super appreciative of your time and just for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it.
Oh my God!
But I want to take, because we are recording this episode on April 14th, and it is 9 years since the last live performance of Prince. I want to talk to you a little bit about that. Do I understand that you saw the Triple Threat tour at the Fox Theater?
Yes.
1999, and then the last show that Prince performed, you also saw at the Fox Theater.
Yes.
Can you take us through that range of emotions as it relates to both shows?
Well, here is all candor and honesty with the Triple Threat tour. I was a kid. I was 14 at the time, I think. I can't remember how old I was. I can't remember what I was born in 68, so that was 82. Yeah, I was 14 at the time. I was either 14 or 15 at the time. I can't remember what month it was. And while I knew who Prince was, and I knew the music from 1999 because a friend of mine had let me borrow the album, and I quietly sat with headphones in my room, gasping, going, "Oh my God, if my mom hears this, I'm dead."
Yep.
And somebody at her work was going to the show and said, I heard that your son likes Prince. Would he like to go to the show? Because I have an extra ticket. Somebody's not going." And she was like, "I'll ask." And she says, "Hey, a friend of mine's at work's got a ticket to go see Prince. Would you like to go?" And I was just like, "Yes." So I went, but her son, we ended up hanging out, and her son was like around my age, and we were like, I was there at the show, and I would like watch Prince and like, "Oh, I love this song," and I would dance and do my thing. But a lot of the times it was me and him going out, hanging out in the lobby, doing what teenage kids do, just being stupid. Let's check out this girl, blah, 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 blah. And so I was engaged, but I was not engaged, but I was there. And then of course after that show, I saw Purple Rain at the Omni in Atlanta, 3 of the 5 shows that were there, because I was camping outside of Turtles Record Store in Smyrna, Georgia, and camped out there like all night waiting for the tickets. And the first show sold out, the second show sold out, and I'd been camping there all night. I was like, "What the?" And I was devastated. And they said there was a 3rd, 4th, and 5th, but I finally got up there. They had added a 3rd, 4th, and 5th show, and they said, "What show do you want?" And I said, "Yes, yes, and yes." It's like, I don't care where these seats are, I'm there. And so it was, and of course I absorbed those shows. So Purple Rain was a really special place. But to go back to your question, when you look at, the young Prince, and really, he's really starting to get traction in the major markets with 1999, because he had the foresight to know, I should make some music videos. And you got a new and burgeoning MTV that was just like, "Anybody got any music videos?" It's like, we're just going to play these same 20 music videos over and over and over again. And Prince had all those great videos, and he was just, and he was just at the height of his energy, of his, the height was Purple Rain, obviously, but if you saw him live during 1999, he was a monster. And not that he stopped anytime soon after that. And then to kind of see him from that to the final show in Atlanta, him just kind of, sitting and coming out with a cane, like literally walking out with a cane. And he's not dancing around. He's not doing splits. He's not, he's just sitting at a piano. It's like, it did really kind of make me look and go, whew. He got old, and so did I. I guess that's like, I'm sitting here watching this show, and it's incredible, because this is fantastic. It's like an encapsulation of all of the years of music that he did. I think I may actually be able to play this voicemail. Hold on a second.
Hey, what's up, Chris? Which was Jesse. Jonathan. Speak with you.
That was the first voicemail. That's the voicemail that started it all. Anyways, but now to see that those 2 bookends was pretty dynamic. And that night, April 14th, I can't even explain that night, that vibe that was going. I can't. There's no other word for it. It was like this existential, metaphysical presence of him. I would ask that you guys watch the Mono Neon interview that we just did, because Michael
Yeah.
Bland and myself and Mono Neon talked about that. How the dude could be in a room and you would know that he was in the room without even seeing him in the room.
Yeah.
It's like this presence, this aura that even extends beyond visually seeing him. It's like, if he walked into the room behind me, you'd be like, Prince is in the room. It's like, it was just that thing. And Michael said the same thing. It's just, and we talked about it on the Mono Neon interview. So check that out, because it's pretty cool.
Sure. That's a great get. I mean, Mono Neon, just alone with his, if anybody follows him with his TikTok account or his Instagram account in particular, he spends this time dedicating his videos to his grandmother, who is suffering from dementia. And all these videos that they do, all these old spirituals that she had sung in churches. He is, that's a real human being.
Absolutely.
He is as quirky as can be. He's got the persona. He is kind of like a Bootsy Collins 2.0 in the 21st century, with all the get up and everything like that. But at the end of the day, playing left-handed bass inverted, I might add.
Yeah.
He's
crazy.
But he does. But he's so, his presence and his persona, still extends. And his father being a famous session player, playing for dozens of people.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
well, what's funny about him is he was difficult. Mono Neon Dwayne was difficult to do. Dwayne, so much easier to say. Dwayne was much more difficult to do research on, because I watched his previous interviews, and he's really super shy and he didn't say much. And it was just like, he would say, so, the interview, I can't remember what interview it was. It was somebody famous. He was a famous session musician, and he's got his own podcast, and he had Dwayne on, and everything that he would say, oh, Dwayne, he's like, your album was pretty fantastic. And Mono Neon would kind of look down and be like, I guess. and literally he said, I guess, like 24 times during the one interview I saw. It was just like, wow, you're really, really good at what you do. And he was like, I guess. And I was like, oh, this is going to be one of these interviews. And I called up Michael and I said, look, just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea what we're up against here. He from the interviews I've seen, he's really shy. And now he started his own podcast, and I don't know if you've seen it, but he's had 3 episodes. And the first episode, it was him and his, what we found out was his front of the house engineer. I can't remember the guy's name, who's wearing a ski mask. And they literally sit and drink beer, smoke weed, and eat mushrooms all of episode 1, and somehow manage to keep some semblance of a conversation together. And I was just like, I was like, I don't know. I have no idea what, that guy on episode 1 of his podcast was a lot more loose. It's like, if I have to choose, I'd like to get that guy, because he's laughing, he's cutting up. There's just,
Yeah.
But the Mono Neon that we got was very coherent. He was very with it. He was very responsive. He was telling stories. I was just like, oh, okay, that's good.
That's great.
So what's great about it is that, people are actually going to see a side of Dwayne that I don't think that I've seen in interviews. I watch a lot of interviews to do my research. And
congratulations on that.
I can't, and because I don't want to be repetitive. I don't want to be redundant. I don't want to say the same friggin' things over and over and over again.
But you got Mono Neon.
Oh yeah, he's great.
And I know, folks, he addresses Black is the New Black, which was the last Prince
we talked about that too.
He was working on prior to his death. So he's going to answer those questions. And Chris, as soon as we get off here and have a little after show talk, I'm off work. Fortunately, I'm off work tomorrow, so I will be able to listen to that and sleep in.
He divulges some stuff about Black is a New Black that just kind of similar to how Jack White got a hold of Camille, which a lot of people don't know. But Jack White won an auction for an actual original album of Camille, and he was given permission from the estate to release it. which is amazing. We've heard all the songs, but to hear them in some type of order that was, and I've put it together in that order before because that's what I do. I kind of get I get a little nutty on the radio station. I'm like, I want to create Dream Factory like he had envisioned Dream Factory and see what happens. And it's just like, woof, that would have been stellar. But he talks about Black is the New Black, and that album is apparently sitting in the hands of Don Was from Blue Note Records.
Excuse me, women.
Don
Was.
Yes. And he is, I guess, I don't know what his title is, CEO, chairman, or whatever of Blue Note Records. So that the capability to release that is, I guess, in the hands of the estate. And if it gets released, then Don Was will put it on Blue Note Records. And then on top of that, which is even more awesome, is that there was also that announcement that Shaka Khan now has permission to release some album work. But I've seen some mixed things that said, "Oh no, it's come to my house," and it was like, "That's already been released." So why do they keep saying unreleased? So it's a lot of curious.
I have that on CD. I have that on CD. I got it during actually I got that one during the pandemic and Larry Graham's GCS 2000.
Yeah, that was sent to me. Randomly was sent to me when it came out. I think Prince wanted me to cover it, and I was just I don't remember I wrote a review for it or not. I think I mean, that's somebody else I would love to have on the show, but I'm always afraid I'm going to ask. I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to hold myself back from asking the questions that I want to ask.
Sure. I get it.
And we all know what those questions are.
Yes, we do.
So I kind of feel like, I think that's another expectation that people have of me. Is just like, all right, if this person's going to be on that show, Chris is going to ask this. It's just not going to be it. Like when I had Think on and I talked to him about the Diddy stuff, I said,
"Oh, that was great. Dude, can I just say, and we've had him on before. I've had him on prior to Jay joining forces with me, but dude, that was a get. Talking about Danity Kane and all that shit. Mm-hmm. You got to be kidding me.
That was crazy.
That was great.
Because I was just like, I'm surprised nobody has talked to you about the whole Diddy stuff. And the other thing with the Fink interview, I don't know if he was in a really good place that night or whatever, but that was a side of Fink that I've never seen before. Because I've interviewed him a couple times before, and it was just, he was very curt and business-like as far as his answers were concerned, but his guard was way down. He was sharing and cutting up.
You got Bland, because you had Michael there.
I think that's the other part of that too. That's the other part of the equation of having Michael in the mix. And it was also part of the equation for Mono Neon too, because some people didn't realize this, but I'm blowing all the really cool points that you're going to take out of Mono Neon, but you got to watch it anyways. You know you are.
I know.
But Michael Bland was the original drummer on Black is the New Black, and Prince didn't like, I guess he didn't like what Michael was doing. And so he was replaced by Kirk. And so I brought that up and I was like, I don't know if you recall working on this album, Michael, because Michael was, all the work that he did was just like a blur, I'm sure. Yeah. He was like, no, I remember that day very, very well. And I was just like, really? And Mono Neon was just like, yeah, I remember. And I was like, oh, we've uncovered a story here because now we're in the studio with Michael Bland and Mono Neon and seeing how this is shaking out.
Yeah.
To, as far as Prince's vibe is concerned, how he's feeling about Michael in this project. And I'll just let you guys watch it to kind of see but it was interesting. Folks, I mean, some of these things just kind of keep on coming out. It's just, you just got to dig.
But you got to subscribe to this guy. I mean, we're probably already preaching to the converted, but just in the off chance that we do too.
Yeah.
Hoping in the off chance that people don't know about this guy's podcast on Funkatopia, you have to subscribe. He gets interviews that simply a lot of people would wish they would get, and we're not mad at you for that because again, somebody's got to get it, and you've put your time in the game, and you are definitely worthy of that of getting these gets, and
Yeah,
and
thanks,
and
man.
we wish
Appreciate
you nothing but success throughout the next 20 years, however long you're going to do this.
Right.
I mean, this is ultimately what I would like to do when I'm retired. Like when I'm
Sure.
done doing the work thing, I have no problem doing this. This will be fun. I mean,
Right.
to be able to do what you love, not
Right.
work a day in
Hello.
your
On a
life.
full-time basis, right?
Right. And
Oh
so
my God.
that is absolutely positively my goal is to make this the full-time scenario. And there are some pretty major things that are coming down the pike this year
Yeah.
that you guys will probably hear about.
Not probably.
Yeah,
We will
yeah,
hear
and-
about it.
That
and we
well,
will
we
definitely
always
be-
got to
we'll be
wait for
looking.
you always got to wait for these things to kind of shake out and make sure
Gel.
they're
Yeah,
gonna
of course.
gel. And
Dot the I's and cross the T's.
but when the major players that pull those strings are like, "Yep, let's do this," and it's like, "All right, well, looks
Let's
like
go.
this is gonna happen."
Right.
So yeah, it's gonna be some craziness. So, but if it happens the way that I feel like it's gonna happen, yeah, I think Funkatopia is going to have a lot bigger of a presence, not just in what we do with podcasts, but also out in the live community and out in, and also even beyond that, possibly trying to put together something to actually fully support artists in a label capacity. To kind of help promote artists that we feel like need to be promoted and create scenarios where we can help artists create albums and music with contracts that are artist friendly. But realistic about what the label has to do, but also, realistic that without the artist you have nothing, type of scenario.
Correct.
So there's a lot going on.
And I, Chris, I think that's fantastic. And in some small way, let us express our gratitude for your time today and just being a little bit small part of that universe. This has been, it's been an honor for Kurt and I, and it's not just blowing smoke. We are very, very appreciative of your time and everything that you're doing, and taking the time out to come on our little show. Means,
it's all good.
Believe me, means a lot to us. Having said that, I'm going to turn things over to Kurt.
Jay, I will again echo and express our eternal gratitude to Chris, you coming on our podcast. This is the ultimate version of free for all. We had all these bullet points of stuff we were going to go through, but I'm so glad that this has just been a great. I mean, you still have given us nuggets of information and as you always do on your podcast, but we're eternally grateful for you just coming on and sharing your wealth of knowledge, experiences, perils, pitfalls, what have you.
Right.
And hopefully this will be the first of many that we get to do together.
We can do together. Right.
Absolutely. Because you are the last of one of the last of the Mohicans doing what you do.
I was going to make note of that too. That I was starting to get a little bit disconcerted because I kind of feel like all the podcast people that were out there when I know you're trying to close up, but I do want to denote that because I kind of feel like, Funkenberry, Michael Dean, Eloy with the Prince's Friend stuff, like Funkenberry is dealing with a lot of health issues and everything. So he's not been able to do all the stuff that he's typically wanting to do.
Yeah.
Michael Dean is, doing fatherhood and just kind of his broadcasts are like few and far between. And Eloy hasn't done anything in a very, very long time. And I'm kind of feeling like who's here to hold this mantle? And again, I'm not a Prince podcast. I'm a funk podcast, but until somebody's going to be coming on here to really, help
you're holding
pass
it down.
The baton. It's like, God, man, somebody
you're holding the fort
bring
down.
the torch.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a
and
lot.
We appreciate, but there are those of us who really appreciate it because again, like we said, you get guests that you don't that nobody normally ever gets or pays attention to. You do interviews not just because of the likes, but that this person is worth Dawn Silva. Let's just put her out there.
Right.
For example.
She's great.
I mean, but I learned so much about the Brides of Funkenstein that nobody ever has covered before. So again, keep on keeping on, man. We those of us who are in in that bubble,
yeah,
still want to have it, and we'll keep preaching it.
I still have my list that I keep on here of guests that I'm
You still wanna
I
get.
still need to get on the show.
Yep.
And
Yep.
Give us two. Give us two. Give us two that you want to get on.
There's like a lot of them here. Verdine White,
Sure.
Larry Blackman.
Oh, of course.
There's some that I have to, write off, scratch off.
I might be able to help. I might be able to help you with Larry Blackman. I know it's like not helping.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah,
I have a contact for that actually.
Yeah, Larry Graham, Jody Watley. Jody is actually Jody and I have been in talks off and on. It's just been a scheduling thing. So
sure.
Ricky Freeze.
Yes.
Ricky Freeze. He'd be the person to talk to about that.
Yeah, I think I was actually talking with Andre, and of course Andre's a pretty good connect too.
Well, of course.
Yep.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Well. Why is that, Chris?
Bit, yeah.
So so I mean, it's not like you don't have. It's I think for her, it's just like she's very strategic about what she does. Like if she's going to make an appearance, it's going to be because she's doing an album or she's doing this or doing that. It's like everybody has.
We'd love to hear. We'd love to hear. I'd love to hear about her take on the Shalimar days.
Sure.
Alone.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, all day long.
Make that move. All those classic songs that she did with them back in the day, and Howard Hewitt and her relationship. Blah 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 blah.
There's a lot there. There's a lot there.
This ain't over. So, folks, again, can you so funkatopia.net .com.
Yeah,
sorry,
actually, I bought all of them so nobody would be able to get them, but funkatopia.com because I've already had that whole Funktopia shit happen to me that I was
Yep.
We've heard about that.
Yeah, the guy snatched it up, and now every single year it goes up. I'm just like, I'm waiting for you to be asleep at the wheel and be like, Hey,
if one of us wins the lottery, we'll pay it off.
Right.
No, if one of us wins the lottery, I'm just going to hire somebody to go kill him, and then I'll take it when it expires. Because he's pissed me off. He's pissed me off at this point. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
But YouTube.
Yes, youtube.com/Funkatopia, twitter.com/Funkatopia, facebook.com/Funkatopia. So yeah, anything /Funkatopia.
Patreon.
Yeah, that's a big one. Patreon.com/Funkatopia. So yeah, if it's any of the TikTok Funkatopia, every single one of them has got something. Yeah,
yes,
it's all Funkatopia.
And he has merch available because I just bought a T-shirt. I was hoping that I thought I was buying it in time for the interview today, but I got my Recasto shirt on from Jerome. So,
anyway. Didn't I get to you? I thought. Oh
no. You sent it. Don't worry. No. I bought it too late. Too little, too late. That's okay. On me, man.
It's all good.
It's
all good.
But I gave you Recasto in place of it.
Yeah.
And Chris, we will make sure that when this is published, we'll make sure that we have all your links included.
Absolutely.
And again, thanks very much for your time. We really appreciate it. Good friend of the show. We appreciate it. We're going to stay in touch, I hope. Yep. And Kurt?
As I always say when we end an episode, a rising tide lifts all boats. That includes the flag for funk that this man here has lifted for many decades now. Jay?
And ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you see and or heard, please be sure to like and subscribe. Follow us on YouTube, follow us on Apple Podcast, Amazon, all the other places where you get all your streaming content. Like I always say before we close, thanking our guest, Chris Horton. It was our pleasure having you.
Thank you.
And for everyone else out there, thanks for plugging into Electric Vibe. And remember, when the universe comes knocking, you have to answer that door. Peace.
Peace.
Peace. All right, cool.